What's he doing? You think you can fight me like that? That's bad, isn't it? Easy, but look at the state of your face. Look at the state.
The family feud goes on.
What's your immediate reaction to your son smashing Conor Benn around the face with an egg?
This is not the behavior I understand. Where did that come from?
Slaps with an egg, heated face-offs, and fighting words flying. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn is already a war before the first bell rings. And now, Chris Eubank Sr. has entered the conversation. The legendary two-division world champion isn't holding back. While Eubank Jr. continues to carve his own path, his father is breaking down the matchup and he's got serious concerns about what's coming next. Let's dive into what Eubank Sr. had to say and why this fight might not go the way everyone expects. In January 2025, Turki Al-Sheikh took to X with a bombshell announcement. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn had both signed on the dotted line. The long-anticipated grudge match was officially set, with the stage being none other than the iconic Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, scheduled for April 26th.
Conor Benn's been quite controlled, to be fair, because if someone smashed me in the face with an egg, I wouldn't be too happy standing in front of him right now.
Being out there, Tony, and Barry as well, of course, how much is this about the visualisation? Will you already be visualising the ring walk standing there on the pitch, Tony?
Sorry, say that again, Joe.
But as fight fans would soon see, the tension wasn't just confined to the ring. There's a reason why an army of security guards was needed to keep these two apart. This isn't just a promotional rivalry, it's personal, and it's been brewing for a long time. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn haven't liked each other for years. In fact, the bad blood between them has been simmering for over 2 years now. What started as a legacy fight between two sons of British boxing legends quickly turned into an all-out war of egos.
What are you talking about? Like what? Like what? You're lucky to fight tomorrow. Fuck you up right now. Yeah. You see, this guy comes in when I'm cutting weight. Comes in when he comes. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow after the fight. I'll see you tomorrow after the fight. Yeah, you get in that ring. Yeah, what? Get in that ring. I'll get in that ring and fucking give it to you. Yeah, of course, mate. You're fucking lucky you're fighting tomorrow. You're lucky.
The most explosive moment in this rivalry came during a recent press conference. After exchanging words on stage, the two were asked to square off for promotional photos. At first glance, it looked like a standard stare down. Tense, sure, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then, without warning, Eubank Jr. reached into his pocket, pulled out an egg, and smashed it straight into Benn's face. It was a moment that stunned everyone in the room and sent shockwaves through the boxing community.
The family feud goes on.
Tempers flaring there.
I got that one wrong, didn't I?
A scuffle immediately broke out. Chaos erupted, security jumped in to break things up, and the footage went viral within minutes. But while fans were entertained, not everyone was laughing, especially Chris Eubank Sr. The former two-division world champion and father of Eubank Jr. had strong words about the incident. He reacted moments after the chaos, clearly disappointed with how things had escalated.
What's your immediate reaction to your son smashing Conor Benn around the face with an egg?
This is not the behavior I understand. Where did that come from?
And this was only the beginning of what Eubank Sr. had to say. In the aftermath of the incident, he continued to voice his thoughts on the ongoing trash talk, the psychological warfare, and ultimately the looming battle inside the ring. But before we dive into his full breakdown, let's rewind and take a closer look at how this rivalry got here in the first place. If Eubank Jr. and Benn have been at each other's throats for years, the big question is, why is this fight only happening now? Originally, the two were set to face off back in October 2022 at London's O2 Arena. The hype was real, fans were ready, but just days before the fight, everything fell apart. The bout was cancelled during fight week after Conor Benn tested positive twice for banned substances.
Okay.
An act of God. If you beat me...
Okay then. Be a man of your word then, you retire then.
I'm always a man of my word.
What followed was a long, turbulent battle for Benn to clear his name. Over the next 2 years, the 28-year-old fighter fought not in the ring, but through legal and regulatory challenges, trying to prove his innocence. Finally, in November, the National Anti-Doping Panel ruled that it was not comfortably satisfied that Benn had committed a doping offense, effectively lifting his suspension and opening the door for the fight to be rescheduled.
Listen, it makes no difference to me, because I'm still going to go in there and try and iron him out. You know, all I need to be is 60%, and, you know, or I'm going to be drained, and mate, no one cares about all that. When I beat you, I don't hear no excuses.
No,
I don't hear no excuses.
Not. If you pull off the miracle, I'm going to give...
And now with everything cleared and the fight back on, the stakes couldn't be higher. Even back in 2022, Eubank Jr. made it clear just how serious he was. He boldly claimed that if Conor Benn managed to beat him, he would retire from the sport entirely. That level of confidence hasn't wavered, and it shows just how much pride and legacy are riding on this fight.
Well, no, but you're coming out with all that rubbish already.
But I'm telling you now,
you're coming out with that rubbish already.
If you were to beat me, I give you full credit, and I walk away from the sport.
But time waits for no one. Since their originally scheduled bout fell apart, more than 2 years have passed, and the boxing landscape has shifted. Chris Eubank Jr. is now 35 years old, edging closer to the twilight of his career and, as some say, knocking on the door of retirement. Meanwhile, Conor Benn is 28, deep in his physical prime, with the youth, speed, and hunger on his side. Benn hasn't been shy about pointing this out. While watching Eubank Jr. go toe-to-toe with Kamil Sharameta, Benn was vocal in his assessment. He criticized Eubank's performance, calling him too old, too slow, and made it crystal clear that in their upcoming clash, he plans to make Eubank look as old as he is.
That's easy money. Three rounds. 3 rounds. Too slow, too old. I'll make him feel old. Put it on him. I think even on my last 2 performances, he gets spanked out.
This wasn't just talk from the sidelines either. Conor Benn took it a step further. He boldly entered the ring, getting face-to-face with Eubank Jr., telling him straight up that the young lion isn't afraid of the old one. It was a bold, in-your-face move that added even more fuel to the fire.
What? Well, that was shit though. You think you can fight me like that? You think you can fight me like that? Easy, bro. Look at the state of your face. Look at the state of your face. Look at the state.
This glaring age gap, 7 years, isn't just a narrative in the media. It's also a concern for Chris Eubank Sr., who has been vocal about the dangers his son faces in this matchup.
Look at the state of your face. Look at the state of your face.
Boy, Chris Eubank has been mean-mugging since he started that ring.
From the former champion's perspective, his son should be pursuing different challenges at this stage of his career. Specifically, Eubank Sr. believes a rematch with Billy Joe Saunders would be more appropriate. A bout that would allow Jr. to seek redemption for his first professional loss, rather than stepping into the ring with a younger, faster, and more explosive Conor Benn.
Let's see. You're 35. Billy Saunders is maybe around the same age, I'm not sure.
But age alone isn't the only red flag for Eubank Sr. He's made it clear that what troubles him most is his son's mindset. According to Sr., Eubank Jr. lost that first fight to Saunders not because of a lack of ability, but because he chose to ignore his father's advice. Instead of following a calculated game plan, Jr. went rogue, trying to prove he could win his way, without relying on his father's guidance.
You shouldn't have lost that fight. You lost it because you were disobedient to the plan that I gave you. You started fighting after the 6th round to prove to me that you could beat him at any time.
That same stubbornness, that drive to carve his own path at any cost, remains a point of contention. For Sr., it's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. The former world champion believes that Eubank Jr. has drifted away from what made him special. He claims that his son's current style, one that mimics reflex-based fighters, is a complete departure from the methodical, puzzle-like style he once mastered. According to him, Eubank Jr. has turned himself into a more ordinary fighter, which could be a disastrous mistake against someone like Conor Benn.
I trained you. I brought you up in this boxing. I gave you an extraordinary start. That is based on your ability to box. The style that you had was incredible, but you changed that style to that of Mr. Jones. This has made you, in my view, an ordinary.
Eubank Sr. didn't mince words. He said his son once had an impregnable style, a style that made him incredibly hard to beat, but that has now been replaced, and in his opinion, not for the better. He firmly believes Jr. is not a reflex-based fighter, and attempting to fight like one could lead to serious consequences in this matchup.
Man, you should never have changed your style. Your style was one of brilliance. You are not a reflex fighter, which is what you have now gone to by dropping your hands. That's part and parcel of the reason why, you have decreased in ability, as well as your age.
Though Sr. hasn't outright stated who he thinks will win the fight, his concerns speak volumes. His underlying message is clear. Eubank Jr.'s stubbornness, his need to distance himself from his father's shadow, may ultimately be the reason for his downfall. What adds even more intrigue to this story is the generational layer behind it. Chris Eubank Sr. fought Conor Benn's father, Nigel Benn, over 3 decades ago. That rivalry was etched into British boxing history, and now the sons are carrying the torch, turning this fight into more than just a clash of styles. It's a continuation of a legacy, a family feud rekindled in the ring. But as Eubank Sr. sees it, something has changed. When he and Nigel Benn fought, there was animosity, sure, but it came with a level of respect and honor. In contrast, this modern-day version is riddled with cheap shots, viral moments, and a lack of the sportsmanship that once defined boxing's golden rivalries.
Fight. You lost it because you were disobedient to the plan that I gave you. You started fighting after the 6th round to prove to me that you could beat him at any time. I expressly put down in solid words, you are not fighting Billy Saunders, you are fighting the promoter. And you will not beat the promoter. As they say, you'd have to knock him out to get a draw. That's the humor they use, that's the influence of the promoters. And you gave him the first 6 rounds. As far as I'm concerned.
But the thing is, Eubank Sr. wasn't buying his son's excuses for that kind of behavior. When Eubank Jr. claimed that the world has changed and that trash talk is now an inseparable part of the fight game, his father pushed back, pleading with him to help bring respect back to the sport.
Audience of fighters out there, you're looking for wisdom, young man. You should never have changed your style. Your style was one of brilliance. You are not a reflex fighter.
He even compared the egg-smashing stunt to something UFC superstar Conor McGregor might do. To Sr., these antics weren't bold, they were disgraceful, and he made it clear they need to stop.
Is this what we are? Is this who we are? Is this what we're going to teach? I'm the big I am, and I'm the big guy from Ireland. I'm the Celtic warrior. And you spit in the face of a stranger. This is the example you are teaching the youth in Ireland. This is disgraceful. We can't do that.
At the end of the day, Eubank Sr. still wants to guide his son back onto the right path. But the real question is, will Eubank Jr. ever listen? And if he doesn't, could that refusal lead to his downfall against Conor Benn and force him to retire on a bitter loss? Only time will tell. But what about you, fight fans? How do you see the upcoming bout between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn playing out? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.